Hello everyone, this is Sam and this is Car Legion. Welcome back to another video. For today's video we have a comparison between these two over here. On my left side we have the 2020 Hyundai Palisade, the ultimate package, which is the top trim for the Palisade. And on my right side we have the 2019 Volkswagen Atlas, which comes with the EL package, technically the highest level you can get, with the RLine trim, which is basically an appearance package, and I'll go through exactly what you get with that appearance package. But for today's video, special thanks goes to our two partners that made this video possible. First is Hyundai Grimsby, a Hyundai dealership located in Ontario, Canada, specifically Grimsby, which is about an hour or so from Toronto, depends if you get into traffic, if you know what I mean. And the second partner is Volkswagen St. Catharines, which were kind enough to bring the Volkswagen Atlas into the Grimsby dealership, which we are today for today's video. So here's what we're going to do for today's video. We will compare these two, which are technically within the same line, almost the same specs, and of course the price range as well. The one we have on the left is the 2020 Palisade with the top trim level, which is the ultimate. We already reviewed that, and the link for that will be in the description box if you want to know more about specifically about that vehicle. And on the right side is my first time reviewing the Volkswagen Atlas. And if you want to know more about both these dealerships, if you want to take these two for a drive, the link will be in the description box. And of course their Instagram account if you want to check out some pictures, and if you want to reach out to them through Instagram or Facebook, and you want to take these babies on the road for a test drive and come and see them before you even purchase, if you are in the market for a 7-seater or so. The first thing we're going to do is compare both exteriors and of course talk about the trim levels that they both offer, and of course the price for each trim. We're going to talk about some differences between the two as far as exterior, and then we'll talk about the interior, talk about some cool features you get from one vehicle to the other, and of course next will be taking on a drive. Now, I've already reviewed the Palisade, so I kind of know the right quality, the technology that it comes with. I'm very familiar with the vehicle overall, so we're not going to take this on the road. But again, if you want to watch that video, full review, the link will be in the description box with the exact same package that we have for today. But we want to take the Volkswagen Atlas on the road and see how it does. First, we'll talk about the ride quality. Of course, the noise cabin, we're going to do a test as far as noise cabin, if it's any noisy or quieter than the Palisade, and then we'll talk about the power and of course the comfort level that this vehicle comes with compared to the one that we have on our left, the 2020 Palisade. So let's begin with the exterior. Before we start talking about the exterior features, let's talk about the trim levels and the price. So the one that we have on the left is the RLine Atlas, which basically it's an appearance package offered, which you don't have to actually buy, but it costs about $700 or so to add some extra features to the vehicle, like the badges and of course the difference on the appearance itself of the vehicle. On the other side, this is the Ultima, which is technically the top trim level for the Palisade. The price for the RLine starts at $53,590, and for this one here, for the top trim level, starts at $53,999, which is technically $54,000 for the Hyundai Palisade. Both vehicles are equipped with the LED headlights. The Palisade does not have any fog lights. Meanwhile, the Volkswagen Atlas does have fog lights. Not LED regular, but you do get fog lights at the bottom of the front bumper. This one on the other side does not have. As far as the headlights, we got two projector LED headlights for the Atlas, and we got two projector headlights for the Palisade. So very similar on that. They both have the parking sensors in the front. The Atlas does not have the intelligent driving system, which is located at the bottom of the Palisade. As far as looks, of course, the Atlas is a bit more boxy, similar to the Kia Telluride. Not very similar, but a few similarities between the Telluride and this, and of course is the front end of this vehicle, which is a bit more boxy and a bit round at the same time. That one over there, the Palisade, is very round, mostly on the front. The rear side, it's a bit boxy, but overall they're both sort of similar on design. This is a bit more boxy and yet some curves around it, and of course this one over here, the front end specifically, is more round. Now, let's move on to the side of each vehicle. As far as the side of the Palisade, what you do get is, of course, the power mirrors, which can be folded once you lock the vehicle. The RLine does not come with the foldable mirrors for this package, specifically the RLine. So if you don't want to get the RLine, you get the extra ones, such as the 360 camera and, of course, the folding mirrors. Let's move on to the rear side for each vehicle. Both are equipped with an all-wheel drive system. The Atlas is offered with a 4Motion system, which basically pushes the power to each wheel, depends on the terrain that you're driving the vehicle or depends on the position. On the other side, in here we have the H-Track with 7 driving modes. We'll go through that once we get inside, but first of all, let's start with the actual appearance on the rear side. So the Atlas does come with the LED tail lights, and of course this one does come with LED tail lights as well. They both have backup cameras. This one is equipped with 360 on this package. That it does not have the 360 unless you don't purchase the RLine package, which this one is equipped. Next will be the actual tailgate. To release the tailgate for the Palisade, you can just approach the vehicle a couple of seconds and it will open up. On the other side, the Atlas does have the other option, which is basically slide your foot under it to open the tailgate. The Palisade can be opened also with the remote control, so is the Atlas. In here you can do the same thing. So they're both similar. One does have 6 seconds or so to release the tailgate. The other one is just basically slide your foot under it. They're both very smart and very intuitive, very easy to release the trunk. As far as cargo volume, the Palisade has a 2,446 liter of cargo volume. The Atlas, on the other hand, has way more. It comes at 2,744 liters of cargo volume, which is way more than you'd find on the Palisade. So that's a plus for the Atlas. Now, let's open each side and let me show you around what you get on one that you don't get on the other one. So let's start first with the Palisade. So the Palisade that we have for today does have 7 seats, meanwhile the Atlas has only 6. This though does not have an 8th seat because it's the ultimate package. Meanwhile the Atlas can only get 6 seats. So that's the difference between the two. This you get 7 seats and that one you get only 6 seats for each package respectively. The Palisade has a few cool features on the rear side. So if you want to fold the 2nd row and the 3rd row, you have an automatic button release over there located onto the side where you can fold and unfold. The only one that can be unfolded and folded automatically is the 3rd row seat. The 2nd one you can only fold it, but you have to manually unfold the seats for the 2nd row. So that's the difference between this and the Atlas. The Atlas does not have this option. It's manual, like the Telluride, where you basically pull a rope behind the 3rd row seat to actually release the 3rd row seat and of course fold it and unfold it. But in this case you get the extra features in here. As far as the extra space, both vehicles are equipped with more space underneath. As you can see in there, you got the jack on one side and of course you got the actual cover for the rear side of the vehicle. If you want to cover this part, you can remove the actual cover that is located under there and fold these 3 seats on the 3rd row seat and get more space and of course cover the entire area. So that's similar on the Atlas as well. As far as performance, the Palisade has a twin single exhaust tip on the right side, meanwhile the Atlas has 2 single tips on each side. So as you can see, it has one on the left and one on the right. Although both are made of chrome, the exhaust tip located on the Palisade, it's functional all the way, meanwhile the one that you find on the Atlas is more for appearance rather than functionality. So it doesn't actually connect to the exhaust itself, it's more to make it look more aggressive. They both come with the trail hitch. Although the actual Atlas has it already installed, this one, it's an extra accessory that you can purchase. That one comes already with it. You just need the actual hitch that goes at the back side and you're good to go. As far as performance, both vehicles are equipped with a single piston brakes in the front. Same thing you have for a Palisade, the same thing for the Atlas. Nothing fancy, nothing performance driven here. Very standard for other vehicles as well. You do get 20-inch wheels on the Atlas, and you do get 20-inch wheels on the actual Palisade. Let's move on to the rear side of each vehicle. Let me show you how comfortable they are and what features do you get on each one. Okay, so right now we are inside the second row seats for the Palisade. I'm going to go through some of the features that you get in here. First of all, let's start with the actual interior. Beautiful leather trim around, and of course this is a power seat, so you can sort of move it forward by pressing this button located in there, and here you go. So now you got some space for the passengers on the third row seat to come out. You can move it manually as well. You can also push this lever underneath and move the entire seat backwards, so now you got some space so the second passenger for the second row can enter. You also get the actual armrest for both sides. These are called the captain seats, as you can see. You got some space in the middle over here for you to put stuff. You also get buttons located onto the rear of this seat that you can adjust the third row seat as well if you need. If you have people in the back, they want to fix their own seat. You can also adjust the seats on the second row as well, the way you want. The recliner, you can push it back and forth, and there you go, and feel more comfortable. Some extra features you get on the second row, of course, you get 2 USB charges on each side. On the driver's side over there and the passenger over here, you can see the USB ports. You get air vents, 2 lights, and of course you get a sunroof. The actual sunroof is not connected with the one in the front, such as the one that you see on the Atlas. Once we get there, I'll show you. You basically have one sunroof over here and one, of course, over there. You can't close it manually. You have to do it automatically with the buttons located in the front. So you can't do it from here. You don't have any access, which is kind of a downfall because you want to have access to this from here without actually bothering the driver. You do get climate controls located over here on the actual armrest for the front passenger and the driver. You can control the fan, the temperature, and of course both these seats are heated and ventilated, which is a great feature to have for summer and winter time. As far as space, very comfortable, lots of space for me. I'm 6'2", easy to enter the vehicle, easy to exit the vehicle, and of course you got tons of space over onto this side. You do get 2 cup holders on the side of the door, and of course you get a sunshade as well to use for these 2 seats over here. Overall, very comfortable, very easy. You can stretch your legs as well, as you can see. So let's move on to the Atlas and let's check that out. Okay, so even here, very easy to enter the vehicle. For the second row seats, of course, we got leather interior, and we got 2 seats on the rear side. This comes only with 6 seats, does not come with 7 with the RLine. With the other packages you can get is the Palisade. Now, the actual seat over here comes with an armrest, similar of course to the Palisade, nothing different. The only difference is that it's manually adjusted. So in order for you to actually move the seat forward and backward, you have to manually press this lever over here, and here you go, and it's open completely, so you can have the actual passenger on the third row seat come out easily. You do feel a bit more space in here compared to the Palisade, which is pretty easy for the people to come out on the third row seat. As far as space, you got space in between the 2 seats on the second row. You do get 2 cup holders on the rear side, similar to the Palisade, and of course these 2 are adjusted manually, so you can't do it automatically the same as you would do with the Palisade. Now let's put this back and press this lever. Here you go. You can also move the seat itself by pressing the lever underneath, and here you go. So you got space in there. Now, as far as USB ports, you got 2 USB ports as well, similar to the Palisade, but they're located at the bottom over there. You also have 115 volts of charge over at the bottom that you can use. As you can see over there, you can use 115 volts, and you got 2 USB ports as well. You also have heated seats on the rear sides. You don't have any ventilated seats with this, which you do get on the Palisade. The Atlas does not have any cooling seats. This does only have the heated seats, and of course you have the climate control over here. But what you do get on the Atlas that you don't get in the Palisade is the full moon roof. As you can see, it's not separated. the front and the rear side. And you also have the automatic shade as well, which is controlled in the front. As far as the actual seat, is perfect. Lots of space in here. Does feel a bit more roomy inside. It does feel it has more space than the Palisade. Not much, but you can tell the difference a little bit, especially the actual seat size on the Atlas is a bit bigger. As far as onto the side over here, this does not have any cup holders on the upper level of the door panel. It's only at the bottom that you get some actual space that you can use to put stuff, maybe a bottle of water. You do get sunshades, the same thing as the Palisade. As far as the comfort level, very nice, very comfortable. You can move the recliner here by pushing it this way. It's manual, similar to the Palisade, and now you have more comfort. But again, it does feel a bit more roomy here for some reason. I feel like more relaxed, and just you can just go like this. It's pretty wide inside, which explains the cargo volume overall on the Atlas compared to the Palisade. Now let's move on to the front, and we'll start with the Palisade. Let's start with the front side of the Palisade. So first of all, what you get is a digital cluster, of course, and you got a digital infotainment system in here, a beautiful massive screen into the center, which displays all the settings, and of course you got the gear knob located onto this side. You got the climate control in there, and of course you got the cooling seats and heated seats for the two front seats for the driver and the passenger side. As far as the driving modes onto this vehicle, you have 7 driving modes, which is similar to the Kia Telluride. They use the exact same system. You got 7 driving modes. You have drive and terrain, which separates them. Now into drive mode, you have smart, sport, eco, and comfort. Onto the terrain one, you have snow, mud, and sand. So you can use whichever you want. Depends for the driving modes as well. Onto the actual, depends where you are. You do get a 360 camera onto this vehicle that you can use. It is touch screen, of course. You got the wireless charging pad that is located over here, and of course the armrest itself, which does come. The armrest in here, as you can see, you got a small container in there to use. You can put some coins, a phone, or anything like that. You also have a USB port located inside, and of course the 12 volt as well. You have a switch located onto the door panel that you can lock the rear doors in case if you have kids in there and you don't want them to open. You have access on the door panel. You also have an auto hold in here, and of course you have the downhill assist, an automatic start and stop, and of course the parking sensors and the camera. The climate control is located onto there. You have a navigation system built in. You also have Android and Apple CarPlay, which you can connect your phone. You also have a couple cool features that the Telluride and of course the Hyundai Palisade share, which you won't find on the Atlas. First is the actual quiet mode. So quiet mode, what happens is that the music is played in the front, is not played on the rear side, therefore you don't wake people on the rear side. You also have the talk option, which basically turns the turns on the microphone located onto the front and transmits your voice on the rear speaker. So you don't actually have to raise your voice when you have kids on the rear side, so you can actually talk to them without raising your voice. So that's a great feature that you find in here that you don't actually find on the Atlas. You also have a couple of quirks that I find them weird, but yet they have them. You can change how many times do you want the signal to blink when you switch the turning signal only once, not fully. You want it 3, 5, or 7 times. Those are some of the quirks that you find on this vehicle. But if you want more details about those, you have the link for my previous video that I did a full overview of the Hyundai Palisade that you can watch. You also get the cluster in here is digital, and of course once you turn the signal, the cameras located on each side of the mirror turn on to actually display the view on left or right. So if I turn right now the signal, as you can see, it turns on the camera on the left side, so you can actually see on the left side. Honda was one of the first one that introduced this type of technology, but they used it in the infotainment system, not necessarily into the cluster. So that's something cool about this vehicle that you don't find on the actual Atlas. As far as the steering wheel, of course, you get all the switches for your modes, you get the voice control, and and of course you get the cruise control with lane assist, and of course adapt and of course the gap adjustment as well, which keeps the distance with the vehicle in front of you. You get remote start and of course the push button as well to start the vehicle. So get paddle shifters with this trim level that you can use. You can put into manual mode and of course in work with that. The actual steering column itself, it is not power, is manually, as you can see, to adjust it. Same thing with the Atlas. On that side you don't have a power steering column, it's manually. As far as over here, you do get a mirror located onto this side for you to see on the rear side. You don't get any sunglass compartments in there. You get a sunshade which you can manually adjust it. On the Atlas and the Atlas is actually automatic, so it moves all the way to the front to block the sunlight coming in. Next, let's move on to the Atlas. Okay, onto the Atlas. So in here, of course, you get power seats, the same thing as you'd get on the Palisade, and of course you got the heated seats and cooling seats over here that you can pretty much use for different weather, of course. As far as the seat on the driver's side, you got 3 memory seats that you can use. You don't have it on the passenger side. As far as the infotainment system, you do get a digital cluster in here similar to the Palisade, and of course you get a massive screen located into the center, which is similar to that, just it has less features than you'd find on the actual Palisade. Now, as far as the interior itself, lots of space in here, a lot more spacious than the Palisade. I like the way it's designed in here. As far as space, the cabin itself. Now, going back to the fact that this has a cargo volume of 1700 liters, which explains why it's a little bit bigger than the Palisade. But the front passenger, you do feel a lot comfortable. Of course, the armrest is massive in here. If we open it, we got some space in there, and you have a USB port that you can charge your phone. Steering wheel, it does have a flat bottom, unlike the Palisade. You don't get any paddle shifters in this vehicle. The only thing you get is basically a drive mode, sport, and drive in here, which you can control into manual as well once you shift it onto the right side to put into manual. You get power hand brakes, you get power parking brakes similar to, of course, the Palisade. In here you get only 4 driving modes. As you can see, you don't get 7 similar to the Palisade, but you still get some driving modes. As far as the seat itself on the passenger, of course it is powered similar to the Palisade. You don't get any memory seats on this side. The actual car is equipped with a full moonroof, unlike the Palisade, which does have a separation between the rear side and the front one, and of course the entire shade can be moved manually. Okay, so let's move on to some other cool features. First of all, you got touchscreen in here that you can use. You can only display the map in one display at the time. You can't display the map on here and there. It's very intuitive. First of all, so right now, as you can see, I'm not even touching the actual screen. So if I actually hover over it, there you go. It picks up my hand that it's about to touch something. You also get the built-in navigation in here, and of course you get the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto as well, that you can connect your phone. You got a USB charge in there. You also have a CD player located in the glove box and 2 SD cards that you can plug in. So in the media itself is very similar to the Volkswagen Arteon that we reviewed recently. Same similar infotainment system, touchscreen, of course. You got the same built-in options as you get on the Arteon, and let's go through some of the options in here. You got your settings. You get the Think Blue, which basically helps you with the fuel efficiency to help you consume less fuel when you drive. And then into there you got, unlike the Arteon, you don't get the performance option. If you want to change the driving modes on this vehicle, you can change them through here. So you have the off-road, you got the off-road custom, which you can adjust yourself. And then of course you got the custom one option, which is sport, normal, and eco, and of course the snow one, which is for snowing time. So those are some of the options that you get here as far as driving modes. Next, let's take this for a drive and see how it does on the road, how different it is from the Palisade. I've already driven the Palisade, so I know I'm very familiar with the driving experience on the Palisade, so I'll add some of my thoughts between this and the Palisade. But overall, vehicles are very similar to each other. You do get some extra features on one that you don't get on the other one, and of course you get more space in here that you'd get on the Palisade. And you got two options in here as far as the engine. You can get a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged, and of course you can get the V6 that we have for today's video. Now let's take this on the road and see how it does. Okay, let's take this for a drive. I'm very interested to find out how good it is compared to the Palisade. First of all, it's so high in the front, and I'm just gonna pull up the seat a bit.
Now turn right.
Okay. This one, it's the first time I'm driving it compared to the Palisade, which I've already driven it twice, and third time next week as well. So it's going to be interesting to see the experience of having it for a week. I will share my thoughts once I have one from press fleets from Hyundai Canada, and let you know how I feel about the day-to-day use. But I found the Palisade to be a bit louder than the Telluride inside. I could hear the noise a lot more than I did in the Telluride. So I want to test out this thing. So far, without any official numbers out there, I think this is similar to the Palisade. Not as quiet as the Telluride, but similar to the Palisade. And right now we're going into some rough roads. But as far as the actual seating position for me right now, it's just perfect. There's so much leg room in here. The Palisade does have some leg room, but based on the official numbers, the Palisade has less of cabin space compared to this one. Oh, and this one got some power too. Now, some positive things about the Atlas. First, you can get two engines. You can pick between a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged, or you can pick the V6, the one that we have today. Now, as far as fuel efficiency, the vehicles are not far from each other. Although the Atlas does burn less fuel than the Palisade, so that's interesting to know. This is a 3.6 liter. Okay, let's push this a little bit. So we're going to test out the cabin noise now with the actual dB meter that I use mostly on my phone. I have it ready. I just got to press it and we should be good to go. Okay, so we have the results. Right now I'm doing 100 kilometers an hour, which is the speed limit where we are. And it shows here 77. But it is similar to the Palisade when we last tested out. So it's not very different to that. As far as noise cabin right now, so technically noise cabin is similar on both sides. You can see in here. It's a great app and it's a good way to actually test out the noise cabin, because me just telling you it's not going to change much and you won't be able to understand the difference. So numbers are important in this case. The other positive thing with this vehicle is that you get some better rates as well right now, because don't forget, with the Palisade, demand is pretty high for that vehicle, so that's something to keep in mind. The oil change in this vehicle, it's every 15,000 kilometers, so that's something to keep in mind. And of course, you get some low, and of course, it's a bit lower maintenance compared to that. As far as technology and features, the Palisade does offer more. As far as the infotainment system, you do get navigation system built in on both vehicles, and of course you get the Apple CarPlay, Android Auto on both sides. You get heated seats and cooling seats for the front seats on the Palisade and the Atlas. You don't get them on the rear side. The cooling seats for the Atlas, you do get it for the Palisade. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And also on the Atlas, you don't get the power third row seat for folding and unfolding, which you do get on the Palisade. The Palisade offers you that option. So those are some things that differ between these two cars. The overall outlook for both these vehicles is that the Palisade is the winner as far as technology, and somehow that's true, but keep in mind, how many times are you going to use the actual buttons on the third row seat? Not much. Most of the time you're going to have the seats down. So that's technically not a super feature. As far as the actual infotainment system with the feature of quiet mode, not everybody has kids, and you don't have to use it all the time. By the time you find out that feature, you're just gonna shout either way. So it's like, while you're driving, you have to look for that feature to actually find it and then turn it on to use it. So some people are gonna be lazy and be just pretty much use normal voice. As quiet mode could be one thing, because specifically if you take it on a long trip and you have kids behind you, that will make a difference, because you want to listen to some music while the babies at the back are sleeping, and that's important, but not for everyone. If you don't have kids, you don't actually need it. As far as the 360 camera, this one does offer the best in class single backup camera with multi-view. Even though you don't get a 360 camera, you can still switch the actual position of the camera, even though there's only one at the back that you can change and control. So that's something to keep in mind. You don't get the 360, but you get the other option. Now, if you don't want the RLine to give it that aggressive look and those extra badges, which one do I like the most? As far as exterior, I like the Atlas. I think this is a bit more boxy. I like that style, and especially with the RLine package, does look a bit more aggressive. Which interior I like the most? I would say the Palisade. It's just a bit different, and of course it has those extra buttons around it to give it a more refined look and more technologically advanced. I think I would pick the interior of the Palisade. This is why I kind of like the Telluride mostly compared to the Palisade, because I like the exterior design. The Hyundai has that weird headlight shape. Some people will like it, some will hate it, depends. I personally don't find it very well designed, very well thought. It's kind of weird with that break in between, so not my favorites. The rear side is much better. The rear side on this one, it is much better. It's more square, and specifically the tail lights, well designed. So those are two things. As far as towing capacity, both vehicles have the same level of towing capacity, 5,000 pounds, so they're not very different from each other. Anyhow, that was it for today. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you are from Ontario, you want to check out these two vehicles, the link for each dealership will be in the description box, so you can go and check them out yourself and see how you like it. Sometimes it's better to go in person and check them out and see how the cars are. The videos will tell you some things, but it's nice to go in person yourself and then see the vehicle. And of course, special thanks goes to Grimsby. And of course, special thanks goes to Grimsby, Hyundai, and St. Catherine's Volkswagen for making this happen. They put these cars together for me to review it and show you the differences between two of them. That was it for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to check out on Instagram some of my photos as well and the upcoming videos.